Welcome back, Caddy Corner, episode 55. I'm Austin.
And I'm Caleb.
And we are back yet again, both metaphorically and also truthfully. But we'll talk about that at a later time. Caleb, the rain's back, and this sucks so bad.
It's so bad.
It's so bad.
It is such a nasty day.
Yeah, dude. And yesterday, too.
Yeah.
So bad. The weather here is the worst. I think that we have kind of decided that universally.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks so bad.
Yeah, this is terrible. It makes you want to stay in bed all day.
Yeah, do nothing. Literally zero things. But we're here, just shooting a podcast, persevering, as they say. And this episode is about how to better and I guess properly balance your life, how to live a balanced lifestyle with factoring in the things that we do every day, like school and work, and also the podcast, and also whatever else it is that we do that we're going to talk about in this show. So, without further ado, go ahead, take it away.
All right. So, the very first thing that I have here on my list is to prioritize, because it's so important to determine what you have to do in your life and what is most important, like what's the most important thing to get done, and then you have to prioritize accordingly. And so what I like to do is make a list of everything that I have going on and all the commitments that I have, and then rank them in order of most important to least important, and that is how I prioritize my schedule.
Sweet. Fair enough. I think that I have a very similar one there, which is kind of the same thing. And I think that the way that it's important to prioritize too is nobody else can tell you what is the most important thing or the least important thing whenever you are actually prioritizing. That's something that you have to do yourself. And if you let somebody else do it for you, kind of tell you what is important in your life or isn't important in your life, you end up living somebody else's life, which is not what you want to do. That's a very good way to not live a balanced life, is to do nothing for yourself and do everything for somebody else. So whenever you are prioritizing, make sure that whatever it is that you're kind of setting up as important things in your life as like cornerstones, make sure that they actually are important, not only to, like whatever you're doing right now, but they're just important to you in the first place. Try and do what you want to be doing more often than not, and that'll balance you out a lot.
Yeah. Definitely. The next thing that I have on my list here is managing your time. Another super important part of having a balanced life is time management and being able to manage your time and the things that you're doing effectively. And so basically what I have to say to you guys is make a schedule, because schedules are just so important. That's one thing that I didn't do for a really long time, was schedule. And those were the most unorganized times in my life, definitely. And so, like, having a schedule that includes all of your commitments and all the things that you do, like for me, it's school, work, the podcast, like things that I like to do for fun, and including all those activities in like one place. So like what I do is I have my little rank, like my rankings of all the things that I have to do that are the most important, and then I create my schedule around that, and the things that are the most important to get done, those are the things that need to get done first. So those are the first things that you put on the schedule. And then also, like, whenever you have a schedule, it just makes it so much more satisfying whenever you actually finish something, because like if you have a to-do list and you get the little check off, and man, it just feels so good, and it'll make you want to keep doing things. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure. I also think too that kind of goes along with that, one that I have that goes along with that is the way that I kind of structure stuff out is I like loose structures, because you never know what's going to happen. Things can kind of pop up a lot, and you just never know. You can plan as far in advance as you want, but there's just so many things that can kind of go wrong there. And so my rule of thumb is just to have the things that like absolutely have to get done, like very obviously posted around. So like I usually keep them on my little whiteboard. I have them like on my to-do list app on my phone, like on the little widget, so it spins through, and then it's just like a little billboard at the top of my screen that tells me everything that I like really have to get done. That's the way that I kind of tend to do it, more so in like a calendar type way, just because, like I said, you never know what's going to happen. So I'm not one that's super far in advance plans for stuff, but I think that it is important, and everybody's different too. Some people live like these lives that are very kind of structured, and very like maybe their weeks look really similar or whatever. I'm not one of those people, and so because of that, I've just always kind of gone day by day, but knowing what I need to get done rather than like I'm going to do all of my stuff for the podcast on Tuesday is more my vibe.
Yeah.
Another thing that I think is really important as far as living a balanced life is everybody has their big things that kind of take their time in their life. So for most people, I mean, for the bulk of like the human life, at least in America, at least is like your 9 to 5, like your job takes up the bulk of your time. And what a lot of people do is outside of those times, they don't do anything like for themselves. There's stuff that you have to get done outside of just your work and your like lifestyle too, because think you like have to go to your 9 to 5 all day, and then you come home, like you still have to go grocery shopping, you still have to make food, you still have to like do your laundry and all that normal like life stuff that you have to kind of get done. And so I think it's super important to carve out time for whatever it is that makes you happy. Find something that you like to do and do it often. And that'll balance you out pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. That's like the whole thing about the balance, you know. You have your work that you have to get done, whether it's schoolwork or your job or anything else that you would consider work. And then you have the like extracurricular activities, I guess you could say, that, yeah, help you have a balanced life. And so, yeah, my point that goes along with that is take care of yourself, you know, taking care of yourself is definitely a priority. And you have to be able to prioritize like your mental health, because it is really what keeps you sane. You know, if you are so overwhelmed and so stressed because you have so much work going on, then you will never be able to get your work done because you're so busy worrying about every other thing, you know, and you can't be productive. And so being able to take time to relax and participate in self-care activities and all the things that make you happy, and doing those things often definitely will help you out in the long run.
Yeah, 100%. I think too, like there's a lot of examples of things that people do that are like for fun, that are kind of universal or whatever. And I think that a good example, like if I looked at my life, is like this is something that I do that's for fun. Like the podcast is for fun. It would also be naive to say that it isn't like a career pursuit, but for the sake of argument, like it is something that I do that is for fun. But at the same time, like there is an element of like, it's not really for me, but if other people were in this seat, it could bring like stress to their life, because it's like we record a podcast on Tuesday and it has to go out on Friday, and then there's like a whole bunch of stuff that has to get done between those 2 days and blah, blah, blah. For me, that's fun. Like I find a lot of enjoyment in that, but other people maybe wouldn't. And so like an argument that you would see is like something that brings like actively kind of brings stress into your life, like isn't really something that you could like do for balance or whatever, which I think is fair enough. But there are a lot of activities out there that people do that don't bring any like productive elements back into their lives. Like there's no return on the time investment, you know? Mm-hmm. Like you can get sick at like swimming, but you're never going to be Michael Phelps, especially if you're like not young enough to be like a prime athlete. You know what I mean? Like you're just swimming for fun, basically. There's no return on that investment. I guess there's like health benefits, but there are things that like have no real return on the investment of time that you put in. And those are the things that I think like those activities and those people have like very balanced lives, because they'll have their job and then they'll like go surfing. It's like there's nothing that you get back from surfing except for the fun of going surfing. I think those activities are like the most interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So the next thing that I think is really important is to learn how to say no, because taking on too many things is just going to really unbalance your life, you know? And so what I see a lot of times is, especially people who are our age, they are afraid to tell people no, because, I mean, it's a awkward thing to do, to tell somebody, no, I don't have time for that, or no, I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't do that because, you know.
It seems mean.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like you strive to help people, you know, as humans. That's what you strive to do. And whatever you tell somebody no, and then you're not helping them, then that's just, it feels weird, you know? And so, but you have to learn how to say no, because it will really just overwhelm you with things, you know? It's like, it's really good to be involved in activities outside of work, but there is a such thing as too many activities outside of work. So like you have to pick the ones that you enjoy the most and that you get the most out of, I think, to be able to really live a balanced life. Because if you just do too much, then for one, you don't have the time to put into the actual work aspect, but you also don't have the time to put in to the one thing that you really, really enjoy to do. You're too busy doing things for other people because you didn't know how to say no to them.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that the point that I have that goes along with that is when you do too much, you end up doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can do, you can have 5 or 6 hobbies. I think that's a ton. Like think about how many things, like 5 hobbies is. That's a lot of things that you have to.
So many things.
And like you have to learn, if it's a hobby, like you're putting the time in, you're like learning about it, blah, blah, blah. Like you're spending the time doing the thing. That's a lot of time that you have to put in. And what you end up doing is like nothing, pretty much. You end up being like at the surface level of whatever it is that you're interested in, just because maybe you couldn't say no, or maybe you don't know what it is that you're trying to find to like fill a hole like in your life or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's different. And I think that's super important too, is nobody can tell you what it is that you have to add to your life to like bring some kind of balance. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't like research it and like listen to podcasts or like whatever to figure it out, because I think that you can learn a lot from what other people have to say and other people's experiences with certain things. But like nobody can actually tell you like, oh, you need to play golf more often and that will make your life better, because they have no idea,
Mm-hmm.
There's no way for them to know. And so it's a very like introspective thing where you have to like look inwards and figure out what it is that you actually like are missing in your like life. I think it's super important.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. The next thing that I have is kind of all the things that we've talked about so far tie into this one point, and it's to get organized. Staying organized can help you manage your time so much more effectively. If you use a planner or a calendar, which I totally recommend. Again, one thing that I never did until just like recently. I mean, I've been using a planner for like a year, which is not that long considering that I've been alive for 19 of them. And like it is crazy to it's crazy to see how much smoother things go if you just write things down. It blows my mind every time, because you're so much less stressed whenever whenever things are due, and whenever you have to have things done, or whenever you have appointments or anything like that. It's so much more helpful to just know whenever those things are. And so using a planner or a calendar to keep track of those, like deadlines, meetings, anything else that's important, one thing that I do too is birthdays. Like knowing whenever people's birthdays are, using my calendar app on my phone sends me a notification anytime it's somebody's birthday, so I can tell them happy birthday. And so, like, just simple things like that, but just help you stay organized and help you manage your time and help you stay more balanced.
100%. And I think that my last point that kind of goes along with that, and it's sort of like the last kind of like thinking point that I want to leave the audience with, is like I said a little bit a second ago, like you have to really look inwards. And what is like to figure out how you're going to balance your life, you have to really like think about what you want to do, which is hard. It takes a lot of thinking to figure that out. But something that I think is super common is people fall into this trap where other people tell them what it is that they need to do to kind of get balance, and they end up not doing things that they actually care about. And that comes from like being around other people. It comes from, I think, social media is a big thing about it, where social media kind of tells you like what you need to do to kind of like fit in. Not necessarily like it's telling you, hey, do this. Like it's not like manipulating you, I don't think, but it's just showing you like what other people that are your age think is interesting. And then like your friends kind of do the same thing. And I think it's super important to just be able to like think for yourself and figure out what it is that you want to do, because you're so easily influenced because of how much stuff there is around that's designed to influence you in the world. And if you don't figure out what it is that actually will bring balance to your life on your own, you'll never find balance in your life at all, because nobody else can tell you how to balance your life.
Right.
You have to do it yourself.
Yeah, it's completely personal.
Completely.
And I think what people don't understand is that balancing your life is not an easy thing to do at all.
It's probably the hardest thing.
Yeah, and so and it takes so much work and so much effort to balance your life. But once you get to a spot where you feel balanced, then everything else just comes so much easier.
100%.
You just have to get through the fire.
Yeah.
To be able to, live like a comfortable life. I don't even want to say comfortable because, I mean, some people are comfortable with being just bombarded with things.
I don't think that they realize what it can be like on the other side is what I think it is. I think it's like
Yeah.
like a blissful ignorance maybe.
Yeah, and so, I mean, yeah, just it's not an easy thing to do, but with a schedule and like all the other things that we've talked about, being flexible and all these things, then it is like possible to be successful in all the areas of your life because you can create a balanced schedule, even if it is one of the hardest things to do, and it's not like, and I think like another thing that people think too is I'm too young to have like a balanced life. I'm 19 and I should be doing everything that I can now because in 5 years I'm going to be working every day, and I'm not going to have time then. But it's, don't overwork yourself now with things because then you can spend your time now getting ready for that,
Yeah.
But I mean, and I get where they're coming from because, tomorrow's never promised and you want to get things done today, but which is not a negative thing, I don't think, but it is definitely like burnout is so real,
Yeah, super real.
And so if you do too many things whenever you're younger, then whenever you get older, you're going to be the dude who sits on his couch and watches TV because he's just like burnt out on all the fun things that he's ever picked up,
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think that it's super real too. And I think that, like you said, burnout is a super real thing. It's like crazy how quickly that can happen with just everything. But then like another example too, and this is actually kind of funny, is like yesterday we had school off, and like I consider my life to be like sort of balanced. I don't think I've like completely nailed it, but like my life consists pretty much of like school, work, and then like content, if you will, right? And like yesterday we didn't have school, and dude, I didn't know what to do. Like in every single time that we have like a weekday of school off, like not that yesterday was like a random day off, but it was like a surprise Friday kind of. Like, dude, what do I do from like 9 a.m. until like noon? What do I do?
Yeah.
Who knows? You have no idea. And then it's raining on top of that. It's like, what the heck do I do now?
Yeah.
And dude, I was thinking that all day yesterday, and even today, like the rain is getting in my way almost too.
Yeah, it'll just make you feel weird.
Exactly.
And that's another thing too. You have to be flexible with your schedule, and be able to move things around because, yeah, like you said, no matter how far in advance you plan things or how good of a planner you are, there's always going to be something that will
get in the way.
Yeah, throw a wrench in your plan.
Yeah, 100%.
And so, yeah, you definitely have to be flexible because if you aren't flexible and something gets thrown at you and now plans change, then
snap.
Exactly, it's just, yeah, you're exactly like what you just said. What do I do now?
Yeah.
Like I don't know what to do because now my plan is all messed up.
Right.
So, yeah.
And I think too, like, I think that a lot of people would just kind of get like all sad and then like not do anything all day and whatever, which is like fine. I don't think that's like an unreasonable response to like when your routine gets broken. But the angle that I took it at was like, dude, like I have got to figure out something that I can do on days whenever I like have my like morning and early afternoon like fully available. Like what do I do now? Like I like found a hole like in my routine that can be filled with something theoretically.
Yeah.
But like what is that something? Like it's like a new question now. It's like super interesting. And it was like perfectly went along with the show. So good thing we had to re-record it because I had a good example now.
Yeah.
I think that's all I have.
Yeah.
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 All right, cool. Did we introduce ourselves at the beginning of the show? I think that we might have like really did the intro bad. No, we did.
We did that.
Okay, but we didn't tell them to rate and review the show. So rate and review the show, guys.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Thank you guys so much for listening to Caddy Corner episode 55. It means a ton to us that you listened, and if you are this deep in the episode, make sure to like and subscribe and comment and ring the bell. And if you're on the audio platforms, rate and review the show and share it to your friends and family who don't live balanced lives and they need some knowledge because we dropped the knowledge on them this episode, and we pretty much do every week. So if you're interested in knowledge, we have 54 other episodes that you could go listen to with plenty of knowledge, except for episode 1. We are back every single Friday with the show sort of like this, where we talk about information and kind of how to live a better life and just kind of spreading some knowledge that Caleb and I have gotten over life and that we've learned and stuff. So if you're interested in that, like I said, every Friday, 8 a.m., audio and video. And then we also do Caddy Corner After Hours, which is more laid-back kickback where we talk about whatever we want to for as long as we want to talk about it. Every Wednesday, audio only, 8 a.m. Eastern as well. I'm Austin. He's Caleb. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.